Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the program. I'm Jack Church. This, of course, is Love Letters to Pam, the podcast. I hope you've had a decent week. I know it's been a rather long week for many. It just kind of depends on what your activities are. Believe it or not, it's another holiday weekend. Memorial Day weekend is when we're recording this program, and you're probably going, hooray, hooray, or maybe not. We all know that the holiday weekends can be especially tough on those of us who have lost someone special in our lives. Of course, this past week has been a tragic week in our country. I mean, who can't help but have heard the tragic news that came out of Texas? Little children, little innocent children taken from this earth. Just seems that things don't make much sense anymore, does it? And for those of us that have experienced our own loss, of course, we can certainly relate to those parents and the loss of those children. Of course, for some of us, like me, it's the loss of a spouse. Maybe for you, it has been the loss of a child. It may have even been the loss of a pet. We've talked about it before. You know, we're not here to judge the levels of loss. Loss is terrible no matter how you cut it. And on this holiday weekend, of course, Memorial Day weekend can be difficult for many people as well. It's a time when we remember those who have gone before us, especially those who have been lost in wars around the world. Now, I wanted to come to you with possibly a positive message, but sometimes that can be a little tough because these are indeed tough times out there that we're all dealing with. And if you've experienced loss, it kind of further complicates things. And you sometimes have to step away from the daily news. You have to step back from the holiday weekends and things like that and think, it's just a little much for me to handle right now. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Don't feel guilty if you don't feel like you can take on the burdens of the world. That's not your job. But as I think about the upcoming weekend, I think about, too, that many of us, especially me, I can remember holiday weekends, oftentimes when I worked in television, didn't mean as much to Pam and I because oftentimes I had to work on the holidays. So we might still just have a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, but Monday, Memorial Day, I'd probably be back at the TV station. Nonetheless, we still always seem to come up with things to do. If anything, maybe it was just in the backyard having a barbecue and a glass of wine and enjoying the nice weather. Oh, I miss those times. Those were precious times. We've talked about it before that sometimes, just being there with the one we loved, that was enough. We didn't necessarily have to be doing anything. It was just being present and being there. And of course now, these holiday weekends can be tough. And I've done a program on this before that sometimes the minor holidays that aren't like Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's can be a little more difficult because they were tended to be a little more intimate, so to speak. Most of the times on Memorial Day weekend, it was just Pam and I, especially after the kids had grown up and gone their ways. And we still, though, had some precious times, and I'm sure you did as well. And that brings me to, I wanted to talk about something else. I'm going to kind of probably be going all over the map with this program, but I was thinking about crying. And you were thinking about crying? Well, sometimes I just need a good cry because I find it makes me feel better. I just need to let it out. And what's funny about that, now I'm a guy. Now some of you who are ladies who are listening right now, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, we get it. Because, we often hear that women often will cry sometimes. And they just feel better. Men, however, on the other hand, are sometimes very hesitant about showing those emotions. And I'll be the first to admit, during the 30 plus years of marriage and the years of dating in high school and into college, I rarely ever cried in front of Pam. I just didn't feel I should do that. And I can remember when she would cry, it would just break my heart. It's like I waited to make her better. I didn't want her to cry. But now I understand that crying was actually a good thing. And on this eve of a holiday weekend, for some strange reason, I felt like I needed to have a cry. Now, you know what I did? I went to YouTube, of all places, and you may have heard me talk about this before. The program on Netflix, it only ran for 3 seasons. It's over, but you can still watch it. But the one called Afterlife with Ricky Gervais was absolutely amazing to me because I've never watched a program that so did a beautiful job in nailing what it was like to be a widow or a widower. He nailed it. And so sometimes I will go back. I've watched the series in its entirety. But sometimes when I feel like I just need a cleansing, so to speak, that I need a good cry, I'll go on YouTube and I'll find a little highlight reel from the program, The Afterlife. And I will cry a river and then I'll feel better. Now, I actually found this one clip. It's about 4 minutes long. And it's called Afterlife Grief. It's about a 4-minute long little clip. And even if you've never seen the program, I want you to listen to this little clip and tell me if you don't identify with so many things in this. Now, a disclaimer up front. There's some really bad, over-the-top language. So if you have sensitive ears, well, it's time for you to tune out. But I will tell you, it's nothing we haven't heard before. Doesn't make it right, but there is some bad language there. Now, this runs for about 4 minutes. And I want to play it for you because I don't know, if you're like me, you may listen, you may break down and start crying, and I want to tell you, that's a good thing. If you're a guy listening, please don't fight it. Because if you're like me and you lost your wife, there's nobody in the room to see or hear you cry, right? You'll feel better, trust me. So here we go. It's a little 4-minute clip. It's a compilation that was put together on YouTube from Afterlife. And remember, the main star in the show, Ricky Gervais, is known as Tony, lost his wife at a fairly young age, just like I lost my beautiful Pam, and like many of you listening may have lost your spouses as well. So here we go.
If you're watching this, then I'm not around anymore. I couldn't say any of this to your face. It's too embarrassing. For you, not for me, obviously. You're never very good at hearing how lovely you are. But you're lovely. But you're absolutely fucking useless. So I thought I'd leave you a little guide to life without me. Don't go blaming the world. You know how grumpy you get when things don't go your way. But you've got such a good heart. You're born like it, you can't contrive it, you're just decent. What did you do that for?
You look sad.
And I've loved you ever since. You fat twat.
People think that all those things I miss doing with Lisa, I could just do them anyway, and that would make me feel better. But they're missing the point. I don't miss doing things with Lisa. I miss doing nothing with Lisa. Do you know what I mean? Just sitting at home. Wouldn't even have to go out or do anything or even talk. You know, just sitting there knowing she was there. Sometimes I just look over at her. This has turned out well again.
This is to me dying first.
Cheers.
Cheers.
My wife died earlier this year. Breast cancer. And it broke me. Not a day goes by when I don't think of killing myself. I just don't see any point in living. He never looks at you.
Oh, darling.
Lisa dying, it's like I lost most of me, you know, all the good stuff, all the happiness, the joy in it. I feel like I'm nothing, you know?
Just keep being funny. You're a lovely man.
Please be happy. You deserve to be happy. Please be happy. I love how much you love your wife, and I can't wait for someone to love me as much as you love your wife. But you can still be happy.
There's only one thing that'll make me better and happy, and that's Lisa being around, and that can't happen.
We're not just here for us, we're here for others.
Gay.
All we've got is each other. We've got to help each other struggle through till we die, and then we're done.
Good night, gorgeous. Say it back.
Oh, I've got to give her just 5 minutes with her now. Good night.
You said it.
Well, I think life is precious because you can't watch it again. I mean, you can believe in an afterlife if that makes you feel better. Doesn't mean it's true. But once you realise you're not going to be around forever, I think that's what makes life so magical. One day you'll eat your last meal, smell your last flower, hug your friend for the very last time. You might not know it's the last time. So that's why you should do everything you love with passion, you know? Treasure the few years you've got, because that's all there is. And even though I'm in pain, it's worth sticking around to maybe make my little corner of the world a slightly better place.
Good people do things for other people. That's it, the end. And you're good, Tony. You have so much to give. Smart, funny, lovely.
Wow. That's powerful stuff. Would you agree? I've probably watched that, I don't know, a dozen times, and it still brings me to my knees in tears, because it's like that is a mirror of my life and probably some of yours as well. There's a lot of messages in there. There's a lot to unpack in there. The part about, and I talked about it earlier, just spending time with the one we loved so much. Just sitting there on the couch. I mean, I think about that all the time when I'm on the couch now alone. And maybe I'm trying to watch a movie. And I think about how precious it was to have Pam's head on my shoulder. And maybe we were sharing popcorn and we would argue over who gets the last of the popcorn or who's going to get up and pop some more. You just miss those little things, don't you? Those little arguments about, well, what are we going to watch next? You really weren't doing that much, but it was just about being. And I think in that program, Afterlife, he truly gets it. He truly does. I think he was the producer of the show as well. And I tell as many people as I can, those who haven't even experienced loss, I encourage them to watch that show if you really want to know what my life is like and what I feel like. And no, you can't make it better. It's up to us to make it better. It's like they talked about as well, that we're still here. We've still got a breath. So we've still got to make the best of it. We've got to try and bless others as much as we can. And you know, that's why I do this podcast. It's not self-serving. It's not all about me. It's really about, I'm hoping that me talking about these things helps you out there. And I have these little cards that I hand out all the time to people. And I encourage them, would you please give this to someone that you think might be hurting, who needs to hear what we talk about? And probably 90% of those cards are thrown away and nobody ever thinks about it. And that's okay. But if just one person is touched by these messages and here's what we're talking about, well, that makes life worth living. And that's why I started doing this show. I needed some kind of purpose after losing my sweet Pam. And again, I'm not tooting my own horn here. I don't want to be this big mega star or anything like that. It's just that with the time left that I have on this earth, until God allows me to go to heaven and join Pam, I want to try and do something that's going to be positive and beneficial to others. And yeah, it may be a holiday weekend, and we may not be in the mood to necessarily celebrate and be with others, and that's okay. That really is. I know I have friends and family who sometimes question, well, why don't you want to go and do this? Or why don't you want to be with us? Sometimes we just need to be by ourselves. But really, we're not by ourselves, are we? I don't feel like even here tonight that I'm alone. I feel like in some strange sense, Pam is nearby. And even though I'm just talking into a microphone and recording this program, I can really feel that there's someone out there who is listening to the show right now who hopefully is picking up a little bit of comfort from hearing these words, because I'm having a little comfort in sharing these words with you. I don't have much else. That's about it. I truly pray and hope that I've helped someone out there. If anything, please know that you're not alone on this journey. The thoughts that some people think are crazy, they're not. It's just part of the process. And whether it's been 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 years, 60 years, the loss will always be with us because we loved someone with all our heart. We gave it all to them. And when they had to leave this earth, we lost a little piece of our heart. But that piece of our heart that's still left behind is meant to be shared. And that's really all we can do with the time that we have left. Well, that's about it for this edition of the program. Love Letters to Pam. I'm Jack Church, and I hope it hasn't been a downer for you. If anything, I hope I've left you with some hope for the future, however long that time may be. And until we see you that next time, you know what we always say, have a great day. Better yet, let's work hard to make it a better tomorrow. Bye now.